Go ahead.
Hi, this is Sarah Deans. I'm a born again believer. Why should we provide interpreter services in the church? Because deaf people need it more than ever. Hearing people, the gospel is everywhere. You go into Zaxby's, it's playing on the radio. You can hear the message through Sirius XM. You've got it everywhere. Deaf people do not have access to this. Also, you've got the whole perspective of a deaf person coming to church and the preacher going, be healed, and they don't get healed. And so the deaf person feels like, well, God made a mistake or whatever. Or that their mom, they won't ever go to church again because they don't want to be viewed as a mistake or handicapped or disabled. There's no incidental learning for the gospel unless their mother or father preaches it to them. Equal access, people. That's why we are sign language interpreters for hearing. Equal access to hearing, equal access for the deaf. It is important. Deaf people can offer something to the church, just like hearing people offer something to the church. Some hearing people sing really well. Some people serve in other capacities, teach Sunday school, do a Wednesday night Bible study. Deaf can do that too. We need communication access in the church for deaf to minister to deaf and hearing. How many of y'all have ever seen somebody sign a song and it be beautiful? We need that in our church. That's God's plan. I feel like it is. Equal access. Deaf heart. You've got to love folks. If you love God, you will love them. That's why we have got to have communication access in the church. Okay. Anything else, Valerie?
Yes, so communication equity. So we've talked about this amongst our group, and one thing that I brought up in my group was that at my church, we recently just started doing interpreting services, but we only do 2 Sundays out of the month. Currently, that just started in January. When I was first approached, it was, let's do every 5th Sunday. So that's 4 times out of the year. So what does communication equity mean to you? Does it mean when you can provide it? Does it mean we should provide it at all times? Does that mean written language as well, as far as website, Facebook? If you have a van for advertisement, do you put it there? What does that mean to you? Is it just on Sundays, Sunday school, Bible study? What does communication equity mean to you?
Ideally, it would be every time the church doors are open. But understand, we are, it is hard to find saved interpreters that have the qualification skill to interpret in the church and to find someone that knows the meaning of Scripture. So to start, I know this wasn't the question, but I would say to start, maybe start, like you said, 1 Sunday a month. Well, every 5th Sunday. But then you have to build on that because deaf people are going to show up. They're not going to know 5th Sunday, 3rd Sunday, or whatever. They are just going to show up.
Are you preaching to the choir? Amen.
So, it's hard. It's difficult. You've got to recruit. You've got to have people willing and available. And yes, but where God guides, He provides. And if churches, pastors can preach from the pulpit that you give what you want, God will provide. If you give sacrificially, God will provide. Then God will provide the church the funds to pay an interpreter that needs to come. Now, if an interpreter comes that is not a member, that has a church somewhere else, that needs to come and sub for somebody, yes, pay them. If an interpreter has to interpret a church service that they would not typically come to, yes, you need to pay them. It gets to be too much. Remember, we're supposed to rest on the Sabbath, which is technically Saturday, but since Jesus rose from the dead on Sunday, we go to church on Sunday. We need a day of rest too. Personal experience, I had to get cortisone injections in my shoulder 2 times because I was interpreting too much. I was not resting. There is a day of rest. We need to rest.